Es ist doch Chafei Oder. Es ist doch sehr verbunden tegen de Maimer. It speaks about Shashvina de Malka and Shashvina de Matronissa. And the Yichud Kutzbrichu Shchinte, which is the Yichud Yaakov Virachel, yeah? Then Kiddush Lavana, we say Baruch Oisech, Yitzrech, Boirech, Koinech, which is Yaakov. And for the Chodesh, we say Chodesh is Lochem Rosh Chadashim, which is Rosh Tevis Rachel, which is the Yichud Kutzbrichu Shchinte, the Ovis and the Imois. Now you see here in the Sikha after the Maimer, it's brought in the Isafis here, pages 66 through 69, where the Rebbe translates this into Torah and Tefillah, and the Nesiim, Yisachar, which is Torah. And the Rebbe says that it all starts with Moshe. That the first par is Moshe, because the Torah has to be done with Bittul that comes from the Koyach of Moshe Rabbeinu. Rebbe saying Nesienu, etc. Right, there's a famous sikh in Tashim Emtes. It was during the year after the Abbtzin, so they made a Siyum Sefer Torah for the Abbtzin. So the Rebbe said a sikha then. I think it was Parshas. It was around Chodesh Kislev. So maybe Parshas told us. Mugidik sikha. The Rebbe there says that the Rebbes and the Rebbetzins are like the Ovis and the Imois. Right, that the Ovis, the ganze Inyan, they're Stikkel Hecher von Welt, and the Imois are mamshich in Welt. Right, the famous Sikha in Chelik Tezvav, when you get to Avraham and Sarah, the Yachas to Yishmael, Avraham was still, he didn't see the facts on the ground, and Sarah was able to deal with the reality of Elam Hazah. So there's an Akudah that the Imois bring down the Gashmis and Yonim of the Ovis. The Rebbe said the same thing, the Rebbes and the Rebbetzins. There's a Cherif abundant to the Indian of Shashvina de Malka, Shashvina de Matronissa. Which even though, as Mevur in the Mamar and Sichis, a Rebbe himself has Beida in Yonim, Moshe and Aaron, but the Pratis there's an Indian of the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin. I'm not going to try to explain it and how it works, but I'm trying to quote what it says. So that's Chafei Oder. Okay, this Maimer it's a very geschmack Maimer. It's a Maimer that's Masbir Moshe and Aaron, what Moshe does, what Aaron does. Right, you finished the Maimer? You're in the Maimer, halfway through the Maimer. It's a very geschmack Maimer. It flows. And it's one of the Yesodis Dikim Amarim, definitely by the Rebbe, of Moshe and Aaron. They're in Sefer Erechim, Chelik Beis, there's about 200 pages on Aaron. It's one of the other Sefer Erechim. Like take the most obscure topic, 50 pages, 100 pages. Aaron, it's not so it's not such a davar nidach, but still it has a nice amount over there, and that's also because Sefer Erechim was written then. If it would be now, it'd be a lot more. So this Maimer, Chodesh Tazayin, is brought many times throughout the Erech or Erechim, because there's the Erech of Aaron himself, then there's Erech Aaron b'yachas la'Avram, Aaron b'yachas la'Moshe. One of the Yonim of Sefer Erechim is a lot of yachas too. So there's like Oyer. There's Oyer b'yachas l'Shefa, Oyer b'yachas l'Cheshech. And each one's another 50 to 100 pages. Right, Sachakol there's a nice amount of Chomer there in Aaron, and a lot is brought this Maimer, because by the Rebbe, this is probably from the most Yisesik Mamarim when you get to Moshe and Aaron, or maybe the most Mavur Maimer. You have the Indians brought in many Sichas Mamarim, but here it's Mamish, a whole Maimer dedicated to that. And ultimately it boils down to the Indian is Darf Haben Beide, yeah? The Rebbe is doch nicht Shaykh anders, right? Darf Haben Beide, the Lashon he uses, what's the Lashon he uses here? An exact lashon. TheKud is Beidel Moshe Moshe Aaron. That you need them both. We need Sai Moshe, Sai Aaron. You need Moshe for Aaron and Aaron for Moshe. We'll get to that. Okay. Tevim Mishnayim and Echad. Right. That's the pasuk. That's the pasuk. Tevim Mishnayim and Echad. You need both because Moshe and Aaron complement each other. Okay, so Moshe is Shashvina de Malka, Aaron is Shashvina de Matronissa, which Pashtus means Moshe is Mamshich Mo Maila Lamato, and Aaron is Maila milmata l'mayla. Now he starts off in Sif Gimel, and you see it's a shikol Hamshech, we spoke in previous Mamarim, right? And the kudah of dira b'tachtoinim, and for a dira you need beida and yonim, you need sur meira and asay toiv, and that connects to when you make a dira, you have to clean it out from the yonim roim, the yonim mechorim, and then you have to make it into bring the kelim noim to make it into a dira na. But then he says the yisoid for this far out before sur meira and asay toiv, it's all miyusin on what on Kabbalah Sil. Right? It's miyusin on Kabbalah Sil. So this Indian Reishis Aveda, Vikar Sharsh's Kabbalah Sil, we know it's a Perkam Alaf Tanya, and it's the Yisoid, also miyusin on Kabbalah Sil. Right? But the way the Rebbe brings it here is there's a Hadgasha, there's an Nekuda here. How to understand Kabbalah Sil. It gives you the context of Kabbalah Sil. What does it say? That right, we have to do bir chametz. So there's bir chametz in Nissen, it's begashmius, and what does it say? Metishrei, it's berochnius, it's in Neftshuva. That why do you need Kabbalah Sil? Because what's Nissen? Nissen is the avodah of החודש הזה לכם rosh chodashim. With Pashtos and the Vigeret and Nasach Mamar and Sichis, what's Nissen? Nissen is החודש הזה לכם rosh chodashim. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of avodah, right? So the beginning of what's the beginning of avodah? Kabbalah Sil. Reish Avodah Krish Kabbalah Sil. And there's many times it's mavur. That's the difference between Pesach and Shavuos, right? Pesach, you need matzah, you can't have any chometz. Shavuos, we already have shtei alechem. You have the Sich and Chilik Aleph. There's 3 stages: Pesach, Sfiras Oimer, and then Shavuos. Then there's the Sikha about Achron Shel Pesach. Achron Shel Pesach, we don't have chometz yet, but we have Gebroks, right? You know, there's a build-up where you could already have Giluyim, or you could already have Pratim, where there's already a Mokim from Metzias Adam. But the beginning is Kivaracham, right? So especially the Yidden came to the time of Metzias Mitzrayim, they were Mishukoyim, Mementa Shari Toma. They would be there another moment, they would fall into Shar Hanun. And in order to get out of Golos, Kivaracham, there was a Giluyim, there was a Giluyim of Melch Mach Baruch Hu B'chveidu V'atzmai, and the Eibusha took us out. So that's a starting point. And that's why Nisan is Kabbalah, it's the beginning. The beginning, the only thing you could ask from a person, the most shaykh, only most shaykh, you can't look for more, because the moment you bring Metzias, you're going to fall. See, the only thing about Mahot is Kabbalah Seil, Maidani. Here, the Rebbe introduces the concept a bit differently. And it's Mahemshech to the Niyan, because we get in Apar Mamar and Freer. What's Nisan? Nisan is Achodesh Zelachem Reish Chodashim. What's the Nikud Achodesh Zelachem Reish Chodashim? He explained in Sif Beis. Reish Chodesh is the Inyan of Yichud Shimsha V'Siyara, Dira B'Tachtoin. I know this a few times. The important thing about by the Rebbe, there's no musig, there's no dargan, there's no stage that's not a prat and a bitu of Dira B'Tachtoin. Dira B'Tachtoin is not just an end goal; it's not the final stage or a middle stage. It's out. So so what's Nisin? Dira B'Tachtoin. For Dira B'Tachtoin, how do you make a Dira B'Tachtoin? Shezuya avoid the last is lo yisbarich dir b'tachtoin and they kim mitzvahs sheyisoidem Kabbalah Seil. The tzarich levaris the chametz should be Kabbalah Seil. The nekud is to make a dira. So Nisin is the starting point. What's the starting point? To make a dira. That's what the Tisam time is all about. Dir b'tachtoin. But to make a dir b'tachtoinim, you have to clean it out. Sur meiras, take out the not good furniture and bring in good furniture. What's the yisoid of sur meirana seitov? The yisoid of every mitzvah is Kabbalah Seil. Right, Reish the Vayikra is Kabbalah Sil. So what's the nekuda that Nisan is about Kabbalah Sil? Because Nisan is Dira B'Tachtoinim, and the Yisrael Dira B'Tachtoinim is Kabbalah Sil. It's not just a verse; it's negate a few yon. We'll see soon that it's always in that context. Now, okay, it goes on. He says Aaron Shoshvino de Matronissa. And here he says a very interesting nekuda. So we know that Aaron is Oyev Shalom V'Roidev Shalom. Right, what's the tchunas of Aaron? Tchunas of Aaron, before you get into Kabbalah and Chassidus and his name and the Aleph and the Aaron, Nun, Aaron is Ish Shalom. It's before Mekam Mekoyves that Moshe is Emes and Aaron is Shalom. Right? Moshe, not just how he couldn't lie. Aaron also didn't lie. It was Mishanef Midachli Shalom, right? In order to make Shalom, he went up to people's level and he had to play Kilo along with them. Moshe, inside the Nekudas Emes, Moshe is Milmailam. It says that in Moshe who? He's not shaykh to be Mesiachas to Nivroim and deal with them on their level and negotiate on their level. So Aaron is Shalom. Now, what's the shaykh? Okay, that's not. Now, what's the shaykh's Shalom to Vasmat Geret Frier? Then it could that Aaron is Shoshvin de Matronisa. So with Pashtos, Shoshvin de Matronisa means that he's the Shoshvin, right? He's the Unterfir Mitam the Kala. Right? He brings the Kala to the Chassid. So with Pashtos, it seems that what's the Vart? The Vart is that Aaron Ki'ilu is on the Neshamas Yisrael's side. Right? Moshe is Emes, Kupnul Maila, Vidin is K'moshe. Aaron he's like a Yoyit, he's a Shoften Yoyit. He's a Yoyit, he's on our team, he sympathizes with us, he's able to deal with us. So really, he makes Shalom with us on our level. Or Doret and Tifer. Aaron is Shoshvin and Matronisa. Okay, what's the Nekudah Shoshvin and Matronisa? That he's Maile Meret Beruch Nisinyan. That he's Maile Neshamas Yisrael and Maile through doing their Avodah. What's the Yisoid of the Avodah of a Yid? Bittul Kabbalah Sel. Reishas Avodah Yikar. So, because Aaron is Shoshvin and Matronisa, so the first Nekudah that Aaron triggers by a Yid is Kabbalah Sel. Because he brings in this Nekudah of Bittul and Kabbalah Sel by a Yid, that's Shalom is a bitui. Shalom is a titzah from the Reishis Avodah. Why? Because where does Hepech HaShalom come from? From Isnasus. And he says here two inyan. Yeah, very very reichesius. One inyan is that a person is a Baal Gaive and he tells himself, right, he's not an idiot enough to tell the other guy, but sometimes that's how you say. But the Nekudah is Farzich, there's any American klal, right? He looks at himself completely bein to everybody else. It's a pasmernish to be Mesiachas to other people. That's number one. The second darga is a bit more edel, because you're already speaking about someone that already has chaverim. That already is dealing with. The first person is ki'ilu an elitist. He's an elitist. The second guy, Farkaret, he's Ish Ben Anoshim, and he does deal with people. But he gets offended by Yed Klein Azach. We know the famous mice with the Tzemach Tzedek. Yaz Rosh Dark Shamach Shavoysav. Yeah, as for Spetzich and Beis Menderish is Yed Reina Tret Avdir. Right? What's an Nekudah? The Nekudah is Yeshus and Isnasus. Yeshus and Isnasus. The first Yeshus and Isnasus is I'm so big so I can't have a relationship with anybody else. The second Yeshus and Isnasus is that he's so self-absorbed that everything revolves around him. So he's always paranoid. He's always thinking that people are pegeh b'kveide. If you'd be a little more humble, you would know as a trachnish wegen when people their entire lives are worried and thinking about what people are thinking about them. At some stage you realize no one cares. You're irrelevant, yeah. Fine, so what is the Nekudah of Aaron? So Aaron gives a person some bittul. When a person has bittul, maybe there's shalom, right? Shalom is not 10 steps how to make peace with people. Yeah, it's especially a bittul. Fine, that's the Nekudah of Nani Yakovid, that's Shva. Fine, let's go on a bit. So he goes on and says that Aaron is mamshich the Aved, right? Aleph Har Nun from Sifei on. The Aaron is mamshich the Aved Rabba to the Yidden. Which Yidden is Aaron mamshich the Aved Rabba to? Well, what does it say in the Maimer? What did you figure out from the Maimer? Anyone got the Sifei Vov? Yeah. I'll try not to be nifka b'chveidi. So you look over here. Look at the end of the first keta in Sifhei. Right there. What Aaron is mamshich, he's mamshich avarabba. There's avarabba and avazuta. Avazuta is ava that comes through his spoinenos and the exbrachim chayas mahavisoilim. Right, the leader in the mind says connected to Mamali Kolalmin. That's the avazuta. Avarabba, which is based off the likus that's shaykh lo elam. Avarabba is al shalomai mitam v'das. It's like a rotzin atzmi. It's an ava atzmi, like a father to a son to a father. And before in Chassidus, that the way the Aaron is Ma'ira, that Ava Rabba of Yidden to the Eibishter, is that he's Megala to them, the Ava Rabba the Eibishter has for them. Right? When a Tata is Megala to his son, the tremendous Ava that he has for him, it's Kamayim upon him, they're Chamelit, it's Eider Avtzarik, the Ava that the son has to the father. So because Aaron is Megala, the tremendous Ava Rabba the Eibishter has for us, so it's Megala by the Yidden, the Ava Rabba that they have to the Eibishter. Now, who's he Megala this to? So the last few lines of the first part of Sifei, that starts a bit earlier. That we boil the shamis gvoyes for higher neshamis. This is genug oiche da ava zutta, that's ba'agbala. But in order to be poil, even the neshamis nemuchais v'doiris nemuchais ad dor dikras de meshicha, to be poil in, let's say, in our doir, ava zutta doesn't cut it, because it's neshamis zuttas, they can't handle ava zutta. So what do you have to give them? Ava rabba. Another shtickle counterintuitive, yeah. That the neshama zuttas mali kolalmin, it doesn't work in our there. Seviv atzmos, right? To get to the neshamis nemuchis and doiris nemuchis, you need the ava rabba. Okay, what's the hasbar? The hasbar, he says, is because ava zutta is gvul, the mali is gvul, ava rabba is bleigvul. So gvul can only get to a certain stage. Ava rabba is bleigvul, so Mele could reach all levels and all places and all neshamis. And everyone's shaykh to get this Ava Rabba. Okay, so that's all, but Tanatzim is Mechudesh. Right, and then with this he goes on and explains that this is with in the name Arein, Aleph, Har is Ava, and the Shlosh, and Langenun. What's the Langenun? That at the end of the next keta, the Num Pshuta is Lamata Me'ashita, goes all the way down, because it's Nimshach Lamata Mata, that Aaron is Poel V'chol Neshamis, Gam Neshamis Nemuchis. Okay. Later on in the Maimer, in Sif Vav, he says the difference between Avodas Aaron and Avodas Moshe. Avodas Aaron, what does Aaron do? Allah and Neiris, there's a certain Hagbala. Let's say Neiris, Me'er Vad Boiker. That's when the Neiris are lit. Moshe is Avodas Limud Torah, Ma'aylamata is Torah. So Torah is B'tmidos 24 hours a day. There's no Hagbala, day, night, all the times. What's that part? Because Moshe is just in the Malka, so there's no Hagbalas. It's like the 6th, 7th line of Sivav Mashenkin Aaron, Takin and Yoyso, Ibchinas Hoira Hor, Shewidin Ava Rabba Shi Bligvul, right? It's Taka Ava Rabba, which the Chayra means has no Medida of Hagbala. Because it's Aliyas and Ivroim, it's Shaykh and Ivroim, and there's a Hagbala Me'erev Ad Boiker. Then he explains what does this practically mean. Who gets Ava Rabba? Mi yale b'haravai and a kichapayim of our levov. Haravai goes on Ava Rabba. In order to be zeichet to Ava Rabba, Teilalis lahar yesh no magbolis. There's agbolis who gets Ava Rabba. It's not what's Ava Rabba. We're playing away with Ava Rabba. It's nishpashu who gets Ava Rabba. You need a few tanoim. The kichapayim, which is the two chafim, which goes on the two arms. The reimid, the reismala. Shemirana say toip. Bar levov. Right, Bar Leva means that it's clean, the heart, there's no pnius whatsoever. The only thing was mahadda is mitzad rotznavai, meaning it's not even the Ava here is not even l'Ravis tzemoinu la Hashem. It's not even his tzemoin. It's all pasha for the Eibishter. After all these tanoim, azay yuchil la'aleis b'haravaya, the next page. But if you're missing the tanoim hadroshim, you could fall from your madrega, and when you fall from a mountain, the Ava is a mountain. When you fall from a mountain, it's not pretty at all. V'chol v'chol. What's going on over here? It's a lot of stuff. Nikicha Payim Bar Levov. Huh? No. No, so what did it say? Was it two per Omar? I heard him, okay, yeah. So is it here in the cave? Yeah. No, so what did it say there? No, what did it say? You're right. Yeah, I'm saying, but the hasbara se'inyan. In other words, if we would come and say it goes to everybody, but you need all these hachanes v'chol v'chol. But tepich chol hasbara. The whole hasbara in Sif Hey was That because it's avarab, it's bligvul, so it's able to go to the lowest places because there's no hagbala. And it's go neshamis nemuchis, doiris nemuchis v'chulu. Now we say no, nishtazei pashit. You need special people. Only special people that go on high levels could do it. But it's nish yeder eina. Moshe goes to yeder eina. In Shikich Bayam Bar Levov was they were trying to, when there was a svara to make a Sanhedrin in Eretz Yisrael. So there's a whole deal. It was like when they founded the state. There's a whole deal that like a Sanhedrin. So someone came with Tainus. He said, since you say Pasha, where are you going to find? What's the lesson there? You need to get to. Right, the whole bunch of things you need. This and that, and a Chsoyne Betza. Where are you going to find a Chsoyne Betza? For Geld coming out, it's koifen. Yeah. So that could be the answer. Yeah, we can out koifen, so you can figure it out. Right? But what's the hasbara? So the message here, Lechei doesn't go into it. So in Sefer Erechim, he gives a tivuch. He says a vart. Right? If you have time, it's kind of weak. You push it sit. If you have some time, push it go through Sefer Erechim, the Erechim of Aaron, very Geshmak and Yanim. I'm sure everyone's running. So Lechei the vart miyos on the different mamarim, and he says like this. He says the Kitzer, he says the Kudah is, this is the Klolus Inyan, and this is the Pratius and Be'ikr. Meaning, get mitzad, the fact that it's Avarabba, mitzad, that it's Bligvul, Likotake, go to every single person, and every single Neshama. There's an Kudah of this Avarabba that Be'etzem goes to every single Yid. But to have p'sashayches pnimis la'ana, which is what he goes on and says that later on in the Maimer he explains that Moshe, that's the chiddush of Moshe over Aaron. Moshe's chiddush over Aaron is, even though Aaron's also mashpiyah to everybody, but dafke Moshe is momaylo lamata, so he's mashpiyah to everybody no matter what level you are, boifim pnimi. Right? A person learns Torah, loikai dvarei keish, which is ma'esh ein mekabel tuma af divrei mekabel tuma. A person on the lowest level didn't prepare himself at all. Sitz no learn Torah can verstehen Inyan, and the Torah is nasa l'dam basar gibsari, right? It comes into bipnimius. The hashpah is from Aaron because stuff of Aaron is momatel l'mayla. So momatel l'mayla, there's an akud of halah, right? You have to go out of yourself a bit. You can't. Taki is mashpiyat to everybody, but it could be sort of b'ifin shitchi, makif. You have a shaykhs, but it's shikol b'ifin makif. So the fizal chayr the nekuda is that the etzem avarabba, the shaykhs to avarabba. He says here that it comes from etzem and nefesh, but it's not the etzem alein. It's a gilu. He goes into some level of seichel. So the shaykhs of avarabba to every yid is etzem every single yid. Every yid has the abam suteres, and every yid can even have a gilu of abam suteres. But that should be bepnimius and begilu. But the ganze sturm. This taka you need an avodah in the kichapayim of our leva, and that's the big chiddush of Torah. That not only it goes to every single yid, but even without any hachanis klal, every single yid can learn Torah. Though at the end he says that ultimately you need the chibur of Moshe and Aaron. No, the Kudah, one back to the Kudah of Kabbalah Seil. So we said the Kabbalah Seil is the beginning of the Avodah. But then he says in Sifhei, back to Sifhei, he says that Ava, the Aaron, Har is right. Aaron's Lashon Har, and Har is connected to Ava. Why is Har connected to Ava? It's the beginning of Sifhei, because a Har, on the one hand, it's doimim b'shavah l'chol offer. It's the same doimim. It's the same earth. It's the same sand. It's the same like the rest of the world. It's not a higher level, right? The Har, it's not Tzimei Chaim Medaber. But it's Ba'aliyah Mamata Lamayla. That's in place of Chassidus, it's called Tzimeach Shebedoimim. I remember those for bringing of the Rebbe Bahar, the Mems, the Min Mems, maybe Zayin. I think that week was a Pegisha. So during Pegisha, the Rebbe very often would say a Sikha connected to science. Into science, like the Rebbe would use language and physics and different inyanim, and then connected and showed the shaykhs to Torah, umikan lo manu as alt gefin sich in Torah. It was like a sikha. This was the sikha for Begisha. The average guy there had no clue with Yiddish. But by the Rebbe, that's not a. Or in the topic we're talking. It's the nekuda. It's the nekuda. The Pegisha is here. College students, we're going to speak science. We're going to speak science and Torah. Like, also, like in the early years, like that was like the big thing. Like as the years went on, like Pegisha comes here, they're not very high into science. Yeah, they're not. Okay, they didn't have phones yet. I was saying, but whatever, you know. But certain nekuda, you have this Indian. It's like all the sichos to Neshei B'nei Chabad. So the sichos in Neshei are echte Yiddish. Yeah, but in the later years, in the early years, the sichos are mamish Yiddish. In the mems, nuns, there's a lot of lashon kodesh, a lot of Amori Chazal. You could go through, like, listen to it for 2-3 minutes, and half of it is lashon kodesh. But the women, it's ganz Yiddish. It's not, even if there's a Maimar Chazal, the pasuk gets translated. Now, thinking the ladies here, the girls, the Talmidas and Messiahs, in the late mems from Beis Rivka, what was their shaykhs to Yiddish? But then, women's in his Yiddish. Tzenorena. It's a certain nekuda. Fine, tell the chacham. I'll call upon him. So they gave a whole. So that week was a sikha of Bahar. Yes, the Rebbe gave a whole biur on mountains and how mountains are created and how tzemeach, how different smachim fly in the air and they connect to and that's what makes the mountain. It was very interesting. Like there is more tzemeach to the. It's mugia. You can see this. I believe it's Mahar Bim Zayin, somewhere around there. Very, very interesting way that Rebbe said the sikha was invited. Anyway, so har, but it's doimim, but it's ba'aliyah mata l'mayla. What's the Indian bezeh? Very interesting hayra. Very interesting nekuda avodah. That even when a person mitzad gufa, even after behamis, is doimim legabi yani v'ruch chalvin yani likus befrat. Right? He's on floor level. The surface. He didn't. There's no shaykhis ruchnis. He's doimim. Yet areu ba'aliyah milmata l'mayla yedei ha'ava asher boy. The Ava is the engine of a Yid. It's very interesting, the part, because usually, when we're talking Ava is Giluyim. Yira is the reach, Yira is the starting point. Ava, Ava Zutta, Ava is already the next level, right? Probably you know the Maimer, where is it? Mani Lodoidi Lamed Beis. One of the two Mugdigan, 3 Mugdigan and Lodoidis. Right, but you know, I'm talking about Yiratata, Avazutta, Avarava. Say that, you know, from Tanya. Right. But right, so that's the nekuda. In other words, if a person has no shaykhs and no feeling and no interest, so the most he could have is yiras oynesh or basic kabbalah sale, and then you're shaykhs to geluyim ava. Here we're saying no. That's a doimim. There's no life. There's no geluyim. What's doimim? There's no life. There's no feeling. Okay, so if there's no life, so how does he grow? How does he have shaykhs to the Eibishter? Through Ava. Right, what I'm saying, if you have Ava, then you have a life. Right? If you have Ava, you have Hastach Ava zum Eibishter. So what are we saying that you have no? What are we saying that there's no doimim? Yeah. That's the word. We're not speaking about the Ava Zutta. We're reading the Ava Rabba. Here it works for Kert. If there were to be an Ava Zutta, it's already a developed Ava that's worked on this Bainanos, and the Nefesh Alikis speaks the Nefesh Bahamis. Right? We know the Ava Zutta, the Shaykhs to Malik Alomin is not only the Ava of Nefesh Alikis, it's also the Ava of Nefesh Bahamis. Right? B'chol levavcha b'shnei yitzarecha. But which Ava is that? B'chol levavcha. The first level of Ava, which is Ava Zutta, that's the Shaykhs, B'chol levavcha, also the Yitzhahar, also the Guf and Shemam, the Shaykhs to that Ava. So the Ava Zutta, here works for care. The Ava Zutta in a Chanami. If a person would have Ava Zutta, his Guf and Shemam would be on board. There would be a life. It wouldn't just be Indian, somewhere in the Nefesh, Elikis. It would be in the Nefesh Bahamas also. B'chol nafshecha, b'chol meidecha is only Nefesh Elikis, not the Nefesh Bahamas. So it's Davka because it's Ava Rabba, right? The Ava Rabba here, it's an Ava Rabba of the Etzema Nefesh, the Ava Atzmis that a Yid has, and the Guf Nishmaham doesn't necessarily feel it yet, right? It's not Begili in the person, it's not Beifim Pnimi yet. For it to be Beifim Pnimi, that's already later. At that stage he is. Right? Und der Heart is in ganzen, bar leva means there's no, also the chol asmali, right? It's in ganzen, nibur gem zum Eberste. So at that stage, he has that chayis. But in this stage of the Abba Rabba, it's more mitzad and etzem and neshama. It's inyan atzm. Right? And this Betzin brings us to Nekuda. What's taka the starting point? What's the starting point by a yid? Kabbalah Seil or the Abba Rabba? Right? It's shayla in this minor, but it's shayla mahustis Betzin. What's the yisoid? The yisoid is Kabbalah Seil, or the yisoid is the Abba that a yid has to the Eibishter? Is the yisoid yid or is the yisoid Abba? Right, so you have the word in Perek and Ma'alev Reish Avoda is Yira, and everything, and the Rebbe has a very dick diuk there in Sichin, Chelik Zayin, Behar. I don't know why there's such a koch in Behar now, but Sichin Behar, Chelik Zayin, the diuk in, you know the Sichin I'm talking about? Anyone know the Sichin I'm talking about? Behar, Chelik Zayin, the very serious Sichin about Kabbalah Seil. He's Medayik, the Lashon in Tanya, in Perek and Ma'alev, he says like this. Afsha Yira he shaydish surmei Ava Alavasitay. The Chayra Yira is the source of surmei, and Ava shares Vasitay. Afal became loy dai lo ira Ava Lavad Lavasitay. Lefachis Torich later Tchila Hayira Tivis and stairs Leiv Kol Yisrael. Right? The Nekuda way that Rebbe is var barichis that it's. Because you could say like, first of all, what's Alter Rebbe? The Rebbe says the Chayra. Okay, for mitzvahs essay Ava. Mitzvahs leisa say Yira. Okay, so let's say I'm not so nizer in leisa say. I'm an assay guy. I'm a positive energy. Yeah, I do mitzvahs essay. So for that it's enough Av. He says no. Even for that you need bittul. So the Pashas, what's the pshat? Because the chayra you say without bittul, you're doing the wrong. Not only you'll do mitzvahs leisa. If you don't have bittul, you'll fall on everything, right? The Rebbe is medayik that it's a prat in the ava. The ava that a person has, even the ava that a person has, which is the shoyrish for asay, even that ava has to be miyusid on yira. Right? At Lashon Maimer, the ava can't be an ava was ich will. Rather, it's an ava mitzad rotzin avaya. Right? It's an ava. Why do I have ava? Not because it's kishmak. Because the Eibishter says to have ava. Even the ava that I have, because the Eibishter says to have ava. Why? Because not they can have a relationship to the Eibishter. With another human being, I can have a relationship through ava. We're fair on the same level, with the same kind of mitzias. So I have feelings for somebody else. So there's ava, and that builds a relationship. But the Eibishter and Yivroim are doch bein aroich. So what you feel for him, so you feel. So what are your feelings worth? Your feelings don't create anything. In order for your feelings to be worth something and build a relationship with the Eibishter, it only comes through what the Eibishter wants. And the Eibishter, so Yira is bittul to the Eibishter. Only through bittul you can have ava as well. So in order to have that nekuda, ultimately everything starts with Yira and bittul. Liidach, there's a word that the Rebbe said also, Ribi Pamim. The Rebbe would die like this. Ava is the shayrish of all mitzvahs essay. Yir is the shayrish of loisas. Now, what's Yira itself? A mitzvahs essay. Yeah? It's a mitzvahs essay, Yira es Hashem. So what's the shayrish of Yira? Ava. Right? So sof, Ava is the shayrish of Alts. So what is it taka? Is the yisoid, is the reishis ha'avoda bittul yira, or is the reishis ha'avoda the beginning of everything, is the foundation of everything av? And also in the Maimer, is the yisoid the Kabbalah Seil, the bittul, or is the yisoid the ava rabba that a yid has today? What do you think? Huh? You think Kabbalah Seil comes first, yeah? Anyone on Team Av over here? Yeah. Who? You're not a Kabbalah Seil guy. No, we're on Team Kabbalah Seil. You are on the Kabbalah Seil, so you're on his team. There's no Ava involved. Wow. Huh? You all learned in Vermont? What happened? Huh? None of them learned in Vermont. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Huh? So they embrace Kabbalah Seil. They embrace Kabbalah Seil. Ah? You're saying, what's the lashon in the Maimer? Tovim shnayim min echad, Ava and Yira. There's no hevdil. It's actually, I'm saying it with der Chatzachos, because you have to help the Olam. but it's not. It's a it's a tifus sugya. Okay, I'll leave you with this. So last week I left with something. So if you guys are here, are you guys gonna be here next week? Okay, so I think that's what we're gonna discuss next week. We'll discuss that. Let's also want to discuss what I finished off last week. Huh? Where could you find? Because I say one place I would say like this: look up Behar Chelik Zayin. It's the sikha about about Eved Ivri. Yeah, you'll see the sikha there about Avodas Eved, and he brings there he's saying the mashal out there. Brings up the shoyer that has the yoke on it. That's one place to start. That l'cheira brings out the superiority of Yireh. In the Cave Tiaris? No, that sikha punkt is a lot in the. I would say if you want to see the Adgasha of Ava, one place to start is probably Chelik Lamed. Chelik Lamed Toldos. Sikh of Yitzchak, yeah? Is Yitzchak Gvura or is, right? Or Chesed, you know what I'm talking about? That Sikha, very sadistic Sikha. I think those two Sikhas right off the bat will give you the contrast, the two sides. And from there you can look in the Mar Mekoimus and Kundish Avodah, versteht sich, in a few of the Prakim there. Very geschmackig countries, yeah.